Let's take a look at business concept and culture. It's broadly agreed that there's a need to define the basic nature of a particular organization. This is sometimes labeled the mission statement or business concept. The notion of business concept has considerable impact on management studies and corporate practice. The business concept combines and weaves together a number of factors within the outside of the organization: the market, the product system, the organizational structure, competence, and management style. The business concept represents a harmony between the market, the product, and the organization. Compared to many mission statements, business concepts are often somewhat more informative and elaborative. In some cases, however, the terms are used synonymously. A cultural view of strategy emphasizes reality as a social construction. Ideas about the market and the environment in general determine organizational operations. This requires matching employees' understanding of the environment with necessary organizational action. Strategy might be defined as creating frames of reference that allow the organization and its environment to be understood by its stakeholders, who then are motivated to act in ways that are expected to produce favorable results. Strategy should be regarded as a more or less synthesized abstraction of the aspects of the organization's identity which are to be developed. Organizational and strategic change is primarily a question of transforming the underlying organizational symbolism, holding the organization together, and providing points of reference for social action. Strategy are often intertwined, and a cultural understanding of strategy is often productive. There are many ways to understand strategy in relation to culture. Some researchers take a toolkit view of culture and see individuals and organizations as capable of selecting cultural resources to take strategic action and affect change. The toolkit metaphor for organizations draws attention to how cultural resources and competence offer possibilities and constraints for individuals. Organizations tend to select cultural resources from within their industry. Cultural resources, including concepts, stories, recipes, and symbolism, are contingent upon existing organizational cultural understanding. The connection with and incorporation of these resources becomes a part of organizational change. Ideas and talk about the notion of strategy in itself can be seen as cultural manifestations. Talk of strategy in the business world is of relative recent origin and has expanded rapidly and spread widely in the organizational world. The inclination is to express more and more concerns as strategic. Being strategic then becomes a symbol of what counts. All too often, however, such grandiose facades only serve to mask a decidedly less glamorous reality. Many aspects of corporate strategies, as conveniently defined, may also be interpreted as expressing a somewhat bold view holding a firm grip over management thinking. The idea is that explicit strategies should be thought out before they're implemented. Critics of this idea view it as something that can control organizational resources, promote inflexibility, and separate thinking from acting. A more collectively oriented view takes into account cognition and feelings, analysis, and action. Strategy in contemporary business is very much a matter of forming coalition and links. The critical importance of developing and maintaining social networks in economic settings is widely recognized. The concept of network in and of itself does not imply a direct focus on cultural meanings, but in order to understand social ties and values, beliefs and ideas, and how people and groups should relate to each other are important. Different cultures also influence how people, firms, and other agents relate to each other in more direct economic terms. Another effect may follow from the symbolism of connections. The quality and characteristics of a company and its products are to a large extent defined through networks. Of course, clients, customers, partners, and associations also include substantive elements, but the symbolism of one's network is important for internal and external meaning creation. Culture and symbolism here guide action, and the benefits of networks are partly a matter of the symbolism involved. Organizational culture is a concept of great relevance also for marketing. A market-oriented culture comprises three main behaviors: an orientation towards the customer, a focus on competitors, and a coordination between functions. Success and failure in this market is inextricably linked to the ability of producers to generate knowledge about desires and aspirations of customers and to translate this knowledge into effective strategies and products. Expressions like customer orientation appear to give a clear-cut view of orientation, but any effort to explore the meaning indicate that it's not clear what this stands for. Common thinking on marketing orientation and market-oriented culture makes a number of simplistic assumptions about culture that can be questioned. Any effort to capture something as complicated and multifaceted as cultures and organizations with one major core quality leads to a poor understanding. One could question whether marketing-oriented cultures should generally lead to better performance than cultures focused on, say, innovation, performance, or quality. In order to be able to describe a set of values and orientations, it's important to also consider what's not given priority and what receives less attention as a consequence of a particular culture. From a cultural point of view, it is of interest to study the specific collectively shared ideas and actions based on these that are developed in a particular company. The development of a shared meaning is a vital part of organizational culture. In service marketing and management, the theme of organizational culture appears to be of particular relevance. Service marketing is based on an assumption that services have certain unique characteristics that distinguish them from physical products, and therefore specific problems with manufacturing enterprises avoid. Services are non-tangible, they're not goods, and they can't be stored, and most services consist of actions and interactions between the seller and the buyer. Social process is significant. The marketing function is not restricted to a special marketing and sales department, but also permeates the area of the company which products and services are found. All this means that organizational culture takes on high relevance as a theme for management control and as a way into understanding this kind of business and the management of it. In many forms of service work, the nurturing of the right mindset is an important managerial task, and here the culture concept becomes useful. Expressions of organizational culture can also be used directly for marketing purposes. Employees are often used in order to communicate the corporate and product brand. Cultural assumptions, aspirations, and ideas influence how elements in the marketing world are constructed. Organizational culture is highly relevant for understanding organizational characteristics like financial performance. Many people assume that corporate culture stands in simple causal relationship to corporate results, and can easily be evaluated as good or bad, and may be controlled by management. While there is general connection between culture and performance, it's not possible to say that corporate culture in general or a specific type of culture has a clear and simple effect on performance. The inclination to go for quick fixes in management is misplaced, as organizational culture is best conceptualized as a complex pattern of meaning, ideas, and symbolism. Practical applications in organizational life are rarely about large-scale projects controlling and changing culture. They're typically better understood in more incremental, everyday life, and in culturally constrained work. The difficulty in establishing concrete results requires attention to how performance evaluation exists in a cultural context.